Friends, this time it was a cat trapped under a burning mobile home. The cat almost didn't make it, but the Doodle Squad didn't give up. The tabby finally came around. The medics say they know the people they serve love their pets and don't care if they save man or feline.
You feel good. I mean, whether it's a human life or an animal life, you still brought life back. There
were no people at home at the time of the fire, and that's a good thing, too.
If they're the Dr. Doolittle crew, they probably should be talking while they're saving them as well, right?
They probably do. It tells me they do.
Good work. We'll be back in about a half an hour with more news for you. Until then, Nightly News next.
Have a good Sunday evening.
Thanks for watching the area's #1 Sunday night news. Northwest News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
Russia's agony, the dead, the missing, and the mystery gas that put an end to the siege. Material witness. What did he know about the 2 sniper suspects as investigators look for links to another murder? Answering the call, Senator Wellstone's family asks Walter Mondale to run as the fight to control the Senate gets even closer. And peace and joy around the nation's capital, the first weekend without fear.
Thanksgiving came early.
From NBC News World Headquarters in New York, this is NBC Nightly News with John Siegenthaler.
Good evening, everyone. There is new information tonight about the raid on a Moscow theater this weekend where hundreds of hostages were held by Chechen terrorists. Authorities now say at least 116 of the hostages were killed in the rescue operation, and they admit that the same gas used to disable and kill the terrorists was also responsible for killing and critically injuring hostages. NBC's Donna Friesen joins us now from Moscow. Donna?
John, Moscow's top doctor said tonight all but 2 of the hostages died because of the gas Russian troops pumped into the theater. More than 600 others are still in the hospital, 150 of them in critical condition. Outside the Moscow theater, panic and confusion has given way to grief and anger among hundreds of relatives. Hospitals are refusing to let them in, the fate of their loved ones uncertain. Tatiana Karpova is searching for her son, Alexander.
Nobody wants to speak to us. Nobody wants to answer our questions.
And tonight, the first admission from Russian authorities that the gas pumped into the theater to save the hostages actually killed many of them. Only 2 hostages were shot, says Moscow's medical chairman. The others died from the effects of the gas. What kind of gas? Officials refuse to name it, leaving frustrated doctors unable to treat the victims effectively. The gas was pumped into the theater through the ventilation and sewer systems just before troops advanced. Russian officials say it knocked out the captors before they could detonate their explosives, saving hundreds of lives. Moscow's head toxicologist claims it was a basic anesthetic used for medical procedures, but this former chemical weapons scientist doesn't believe that. The state is still keeping needless secrets, says Lev Fyodorov. Both the Russian special services and the army have had toxic substances in their arsenals for a very long time. He and others suspect it may have been a gas called BZ, developed by the U.S. Army and used during the Vietnam War. It causes incapacitation and hallucinations, and in too high a dose, death.
The way the stuff is pumped in to that area and the volume of gas that's pumped in become critical considerations, particularly when you're dealing with frail people.
There is an antidote, and one rescuer can be seen giving injections to unconscious hostages who'd been dragged outside. This was clearly too high a dose, says Fyodorov, and they should have administered the antidote right in the theater. Tonight, as Russians mourn their dead, many still call the raid heroic and are grateful more lives weren't lost. U.S. Embassy officials now think there are only 2 Americans inside the theater, not 3, but only one of them has been found. She's in the hospital, suffering from the effects of the gas. John?
NBC's Donna Friesen in Moscow. Donna, thank you. The White House tonight is reacting to the end of the hostage crisis in Russia. NBC's Campbell Brown is traveling with the presidents in Phoenix tonight. And Campbell, what did White House officials have to say?
Well, John, the first official reaction from the president came from his spokesman late today, just as Air Force One was arriving here in Phoenix. White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer said, quote, "The president abhors the loss of all life. This is a reminder of the tragedy that can unfold when terrorists attack." Now, U.S. officials say the Russians still have not told them what type of gas was used in the rescue effort. White House officials being very careful not to criticize or second-guess the Russian government's actions. Fleischer saying only that the Russian government and the Russian people are the victims here, and that, quote, "We don't know all the facts and circumstances, that it's important to know the facts before venturing further." And John, we should point out there's a certain amount of diplomacy going on here. The president being very careful about voicing any criticism of Russia's President Putin, just as he is lobbying Putin to support a tough UN resolution against Iraq. John?
NBC's Campbell Brown in Phoenix tonight. Campbell, thank you. Now to the sniper investigation. The New Jersey man who police believe may have important information about the two suspects in the case appeared in federal court today in Michigan. NBC's Don Lemon has that story.
Inside a U.S. Marshal's van, tinted windows conceal the man investigators say is a material witness in the sniper investigation, Nathaniel Osborne. At an arraignment in federal court in Flint, Michigan today, prosecutors said the 26-year-old Jamaican national knew sniper suspects John Lee Malveaux and John Allen Muhammad and ignored a plea from investigators to help catch them. Outside the courtroom, his public defender says Osborne is cooperating.
I don't think he's got any involvement, knowledge, or anything about the shootings.
Osborne's attorney says he was not on the run when the FBI arrested him in Flint, Michigan. He was there visiting a girlfriend and claims he didn't know he was being sought. One connection investigators are sure of is that Osborne and Muhammad bought the blue Chevy Caprice here at Sure Shot Auto Sales in Trenton, New Jersey on September 10th of this year, and then registered it with the Department of Motor Vehicles the very next day. Marva White, Osborne's mother, did not want her face on camera, but told NBC News that her son agreed to help 17-year-old Malveaux, not Muhammad, buy the car, a favor to a fellow Jamaican. Malveaux asked him to do him a favor?
Yeah, because he didn't have any papers, and that was it.
What was the favor?
To co-sign for the car, because he didn't have any legal documents.
Osborne's mother says her son met Malveaux and Muhammad in Camden, New Jersey, at the Jamaican restaurant beneath his apartment, talked with them about religion, until she says one of the men made the same comment written on a tarot card found at one of the Washington area shootings. "I am God."
He says, "I don't talk to him again because I'm scared of people like that."
Investigators believe Nathaniel Osborne knows what brought Malveaux and Muhammad to Camden, New Jersey, and in the coming days, they'll move him to Maryland, hoping he'll cooperate. Don Lemon, NBC News, Trenton, New Jersey. In Maryland today, where Muhammad and Malveaux are in custody, prosecutors said they believe both suspects fired the gun in the D.C. area attacks. Now, police are looking for links to another murder in Washington State. NBC's Joe Johns reports.
As early as Monday, sources tell NBC News prosecutors in some Virginia counties where sniper shootings occurred are expected to begin filing charges against 41-year-old John Allen Muhammad and his teenage sidekick, John Lee Malveaux, who is expected to be treated as an adult, but at least for now, not hit with charges that could bring the death penalty. Today, the prosecutor who filed the first charges from Montgomery County, Maryland, said the suspects apparently shared the role of triggerman.
It is our position that both of these men fired the gun at some point.
However, in the case of Linda Franklin, a 47-year-old woman who was shot to death on the parking lot of a Home Depot store, the prosecutor from Fairfax County, Virginia, is expected to hold off on pressing charges until more evidence comes in. Investigators are still trying to determine how many times the team of two allegedly struck. Besides 11 killed and 4 injured from Montgomery, Alabama to the Washington area to suburban Richmond, are there any other cases that now appear similar? Already under review, the Tacoma, Washington killing last winter of a woman known to John Muhammad. Keena Cook's shooting death is still unsolved.
No solid suspects on this case, but now it's something we're going to look at because obviously there's a tie-in with the family.
Also, police in Washington, D.C. now looking for potential ties to recent area robberies. The federal government has not indicated whether it intends to step in on the prosecution of Muhammad and Malveaux. However, a Virginia prosecutor told NBC News today he's gotten assurances from the feds that they do not intend to interfere with his state's prosecution of the cases. Joe Johns, NBC News, Rockville, Maryland.
Sallisaw, Oklahoma was the scene of a deadly shooting rampage last night. Witnesses say 18-year-old Daniel Fears started shooting people in his neighborhood, then opened fire on a car dealership, and then continued shooting as he drove down the highway. In all, 11 people were shot, 2 fatally. Witnesses say Fears was upset by complaints about his driving. In Minnesota today, investigators said they still don't know what caused Friday's plane crash that killed Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone. Still, there were signs today that Democrats, including a member of Wellstone's family, are urging the former Vice President Walter Mondale to step in and take Wellstone's place in the race for the Minnesota Senate seat. NBC's Kelly O'Donnell has the story from St. Paul. Kelly?
Good evening, John. Tonight, Minnesota Democrats say they will take their final choice to the Secretary of State's office Thursday morning. The only name in play, Walter Mondale. And sources close to the 74-year-old former vice president say he was personally asked to step in by Wellstone's eldest son, but won't confirm his decision until after Tuesday's memorial. All but a done deal. Today, Walter Mondale headed to church, and sources say it's highly likely he's heading back into politics. Today, Senate Majority Leader Tom Daschle added national party support after a visit to Wellstone campaign headquarters.
I think that there is little doubt that the people of Minnesota and the people of our country could unite behind his leadership were that to happen.
Minnesota's party chairman announced the when and how, saying a committee of 875 Democrats will come together Wednesday night to make the final choice official.
The vice president, I believe, if asked by the party, as he's been asked by the family, would be willing to, if nominated, seek the election on November 5th.
Mondale is a political icon in Minnesota. First appointed to the U.S. Senate in 1964 to replace Hubert Humphrey, then elected to 2 terms before becoming Jimmy Carter's vice president. The first presidential candidate to pick a woman running mate, Mondale Ferraro lost to Ronald Reagan. Now as the presumed replacement for Wellstone, Mondale would meet Republican Norm Coleman, who has suspended his campaign out of respect, but spoke today.
People need to heal. They need to be kind of be uplifted and brought together, and I think that's what we still need. And the political stuff just needs to take a backseat for a little while longer.
Even with Coleman's campaign on hold and everyone walking a delicate line trying not to appear too political, it was Senator Daschle who didn't shy away from criticizing Coleman when looking ahead to the restart of the race.
I just hope that while it's vigorous, he can refrain from being as negative as he has been.
But today, far away from the politics, pieces of the wreckage removed from the remote crash site as family members made a somber bus ride to the scene. Tonight, NTSB investigators say the plane made no radio distress call, none made by the pilot. They also say that the crash happened while the plane was in a turn, drifting off course from the runway, but they still don't know why. John?
NBC's Kelly O'Donnell in St. Paul. Kelly, thank you. Still to come on NBC Nightly News, the balance of power, the death of Senator Wellstone, what it means for control of the Senate. That report coming up in depth. And later, a day to rejoice around the nation's capital.
Marie Callender began every recipe the same way, with care, and her chicken pot pie was no exception. Marie used big tender chunks of juicy white meat chicken, farm-fresh vegetables, and a golden flaky crust she always made from scratch. Marie Callender put her heart into everything she made. And to this day, we're still making it Marie's way. Marie Callender's chicken pot pie has a delicious golden flaky crust that's still made from scratch in your grocer's freezer, made with the care of Marie.
It don't mean a thing if it ain't got that swing. Do-what, 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 do-what.
spot, boys.
You know the clean feeling the dentist gives you? Now you can get it between visits. Introducing the newest Crest Spin Brush, Spin Brush Pro. It spins and goes up and down. For that dentist clean feeling, satisfaction guaranteed. The Crest Spin Brush Pro.
You've got one. You've probably got more than one. And chances are one of yours is one of ours, because nobody in credit cards gives you Bank One's range of choices. You could use this one to get cash back, this one to fly, this one to show you care. Fact, Bank One gives you over 1,200 choices. Why do we go to all that trouble? Don't you think somebody should?
This holiday season, working late in the dark. Your friends were all busy decorating 2 parks. Such beauty was hung through the evening with care for you and your family together to share. So gather your loved ones and head for our house. All our creatures are stirring, especially the mouse. Come share the holiday magic at the Disneyland Resort.
1407W Disney.
Tomorrow, a Today exclusive, the JonBenet Ramsey investigation. New information from 3 key players, only on Today on NBC.
NBC News in depth tonight. With the death of Minnesota Senator Paul Wellstone, the battle for control of the U.S. Senate becomes even more heated. NBC's Nora O'Donnell with that story tonight.
Today, the flag over the U.S. Capitol at half-staff for Senator Paul Wellstone. His death leaving control of the U.S. Senate hanging in the balance just 9 days before Election Day.
Predicting control of the Senate was difficult before the Wellstone plane crash, and now it's impossible.
The Senate is divided, with 49 Democrats, 49 Republicans, 1 independent, and a vacancy left by Wellstone's death. Minnesota is one of a half a dozen states with Senate races now considered too close to call. 3 seats belong to Democrats, 3 to Republicans. The Democrats' most vulnerable senator is Jean Carnahan, whose husband died in a plane crash like Wellstone 2 years ago while campaigning for the Senate.
Over the past couple of years, I think the sympathy factor has evaporated. The Minnesota crash might actually remind voters in Missouri how she came to the Senate, might actually help her in her re-election bid.
In Arkansas, Tim Hutchinson is arguably the most endangered Senate Republican.
I've worked hard for you.
First elected on a family values platform, but he's since divorced his wife of 28 years to marry a young staffer.
Is he a lost cause?
With Democrat Mark Pryor leading in some polls, President Bush plans to help Hutchinson with a 3rd visit this year, one right before Election Day. And this year's wild card race, Louisiana, where because of quirky election laws, Democrat Senator Mary Landrieu must get over 50% of the vote. Democrats have just poured another $500,000 into her race because if she doesn't win outright, a runoff will be held in December, possibly leaving Senate control up in the air until then. With all the uncertainties in this year's election, both parties have hired tens of thousands of lawyers to fan across the country, ready to dispute any close election. And at this stage, both parties do agree that Election Day may come and go without a clear outcome as to who controls the U.S. Senate. Nora O'Donnell, NBC News, Washington.
For anyone who appreciates a spectacular mountain view, we go to Sicily tonight. Mount Etna, Europe's most active volcano, came to life once again. The stream of lava did some damage to buildings and ski lifts, but caused no injuries. There were also hundreds of small earthquakes.
Did you know the air in your home can be up to 5 times more polluted than air outside? That indoor pollutants like dander can aggravate allergies and trigger asthma? What can you do? Get the Filtrete Ultra Allergen Reduction Filter. It's up to 30 times better than all other 1-inch filters at capturing airborne dust, bacteria, and pollen. And it meets Health House guidelines. If you don't take care of the air in your home, who will? Filtrete filters from 3M.
The more it hurts, the more you need the Icy Hot Patch. It concentrates pain relief right where it hurts. Icy first to dull the pain, then hot to relax pain away for hours of relief. The amazing Icy Hot Patch.
Fantastic how long it works.
Next time you're on the road and you need to fill your tank, here's something to consider. New Shell gasoline is specially formulated to help prevent deposit buildup in your engine, which helps keep it clean. And a clean engine performs better, which is why when they're looking for more from their gasoline, so many drivers choose Shell.
Right now, you can get 50% off all lenses at LensCrafters. 50% off every lens we carry, even featherweights and no-line bifocals. No hidden costs or catches. People should definitely not miss this.
Hurry, LensCrafters offer ends soon.
Gary, look at this. Phil Mickelson has changed his visor. What's up with that?
I talked to Phil this morning. He told me they changed the name of the company to Bearing Point.
Well, is it just the same consulting company with a new name?
Yes, but they go beyond consulting. They help clients align their business and systems to access the right information.
Because knowledge is power. Sharing it is empowerment. But it looks like there's definitely a new name on the leaderboard.
Sunday, her husband of 30 years vanished, taking almost everything they had. A woman scored, and the manhunt for her millions. All new Dateline tonight, 7/6 Central on NBC.
With all that's happening lately, I worry a lot about my kids' safety. That's why I like Kevin Mannix. Keeping us safe is one of his top priorities. He passed Measure 11 to keep violent criminals in jail. But Ted Kulingoski, he says Measure 11 is bad public policy. Excuse me? Keeping criminals locked up is bad public policy? Now, my family's safety is important to me and to Kevin Mannix. Ted Kulingoski, we just can't trust him to protect us.
Acura. Experience the performance today at your local Acura dealer.
More violence to report from the Middle East tonight. In the West Bank, a Palestinian attacker killed 3 Israeli soldiers and himself when his bomb detonated in a struggle with troops outside a Jewish settlement. A historic political shift tonight in Latin America's largest nation, Brazil. Exit polls are showing that former Union leader Inácio Lula da Silva will win a commanding victory in Brazil's presidential election. Silva will become Brazil's first leftist president in 40 years. Now to Korea and the warnings from the United States to North Korea to dismantle its nuclear weapons program. NBC's Kevin Tibbles traveled to the border between North and South.
South Korean war veterans marching on the streets of Seoul 50 years after fighting their fellow Koreans, with an angry message for North Korean leader Kim Jong-il. They don't want another war. What's heightened fears here, North Korea's stunning disclosure, it has a nuclear weapons program. This satellite photo obtained by NBC News reveals a suspected underground uranium facility outside the North Korean capital, Pyongyang. U.S. officials say it could eventually produce enough material to fuel a nuclear weapons assembly line.
It suggests that the United States may have underestimated the size of North Korea's nuclear stockpile.
After 4 days of talks, the two Koreas agreed to keep trying to resolve differences over the North's nuclear weapons program through dialogue. And South Korea's president warned economic sanctions or military action against the North would backfire. That is North Korea on the other side of this river, where 1 million soldiers are about a half-hour's drive from downtown Seoul and its 10 million inhabitants. And hidden in those hills, North Korea's arsenal, which one day many fear could contain a nuclear bomb. Under a 1994 agreement, North Korea promised to abandon its nuclear weapons program in exchange for oil, medical, and food aid, help it still desperately needs with over 2 million dead from famine. South Korean professor Lee Chung-min says the North is now trying to bully its way out of economic collapse.
This is blackmail, pure and simple. North Korea basically is saying, feed me or I'll shoot you.
But this time, the UN agency that monitors nuclear weapons worldwide says no new deals with the North should be cut.
They have to give it up before we can discuss other aspects of normalization.
The Bush administration forced to divide attentions between two members of what the president has called the axis of evil, Iraq and now North Korea. Kevin Tibbles, NBC News, on the border of North and South Korea.
It has all come down to Game 7 of the World Series in Anaheim tonight. In case you missed it, take a look at this from last night. The Giants' Sean Dunston after his 2-run homer. A father, a son, and baseball. Nothing quite like it. And when we come back, peace and prayers after the shootings in Washington.
America's always had heroes. That's just the way we are. You can find them on the Potomac. You can find them in Cooperstown. You can find them almost anywhere. Now might be a nice time to pack up the family and go search out a few heroes of your own. There are over 4 million miles of roads in Alamo country, and with values like this, they're easy to explore. Alamo, the official rental car of the American vacation.
So, you're back screaming, oh no! Try a Thermacare heat wrap. 8 hours of heat to relax those tight muscles. So circulation flows in, helping pain flow out. Thermacare heat wraps. Feel the difference between can't and can.
Smart Balance Buttery Spreads bring you the Smart Potato, Smart Pancakes, and Smart Veggies. Smart Balance is the smart way to eat, with no cholesterol, no hydrogenated oil, and no trans fatty acids, naturally. Plus, the right balance of fats to help improve the ratio of good to bad cholesterol. And don't forget Smart Balance sensational taste. Try delicious Smart Balance Buttery Spreads.
Marie Callender began every recipe the same way, with care, and her chicken pot pie was no exception. Marie used big tender chunks of juicy white meat chicken, farm-fresh vegetables, and a golden flaky crust she always made from scratch. Marie Callender put her heart into everything she made. And to this day, we're still making it Marie's way. Marie Callender's chicken pot pie has a delicious golden flaky crust that's still made from scratch in your grocer's freezer, made with the care of Marie.
There are over 16,000 nursing homes nationwide. 7,800 are better at helping people walk after surgery. 4 are close to Kathy Speck's home.
Introducing 1-800-MEDICARE, your source for healthcare information. We'll help narrow your search for nursing homes so you can find one that's right for you or a loved one.
Kathy helped her mom choose one that had her playing hide and seek by her birthday.
From comparing nursing homes to finding supplemental insurance programs, call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Chapter 4 of today's book club began with Terry McMillan, who brought us Michael Datcher and Raising Fences.
I feel like I'm being loved right now.
Join in our book talk Wednesday on Today.
Politics after the Wellstone tragedy. NBC Nightly News Monday.
I've waited for this night my whole life.
NBC tonight on an all-new American Dreams.
Is this what every date is supposed to feel like?
An episode of television that will make you believe in miracles. American Dreams, NBC tonight.
For many, Sunday is a day of rest and reflection. For those in and around the nation's capital, this Sunday was also a day of peace. Here's NBC's Bob Fall.
Throughout the region, there were songs of praise and thanksgiving. With a menace removed and the grip of fear loosened, congregations throughout the area rejoiced.
Come on, celebrate! All in the house!
And celebrate they did in Oxon Hill, Maryland, at the Ark of Safety Christian Church. Emotions more subdued at St. Patrick's Catholic Church in Rockville, Maryland, but in each sanctuary, sentiments were identical.
We were terrorized together, and now we rejoice together.
And for many pulpits, this one, Little Falls Presbyterian in Arlington, Virginia, while there was appreciation for the work of police, there were also reminders.
If our children were still locked down, if games were still canceled, if people were still crouched, hiding in their cars while they pumped gasoline, I would still be saying to you that God is our rock and our refuge.
After services, congregants relished their newly found sense of security.
I certainly felt a little relieved when suspects were apprehended.
There was relief not just in religious communities. The secular world also kicked up its heels. At the 27th Marine Corps Marathon in Washington, runners didn't have time to stop and chat, but their smiles said it all. On this day, the fleet of foot and those who moved to a different beat felt the same way.
Everybody's, I think, is happy now. It's free. They feel like they're free now.
On a quiet Sunday, a region so long held hostage gave thanks and, gratefully, went on living. Bob Fall, NBC News, Washington.
Now here's Stone Phillips with a look at what's coming up tonight on Dateline. Stone?
Thanks, John. Tonight on Dateline, they spent almost 30 years building a marriage and a business, a lifetime as partners. Then one partner vanished with the valuables, and their love story turned to all-out war.
After 29 years of marriage, I don't care if he hates me, but you don't do this to a human being.
Did you think, oh my gosh, we're never going to get him?
I just said this is going to be very difficult.
In the battle plan, secret wiretaps, undercover disguises, and a round-the-world chase. Divorce American style. At 7/6 Central on Dateline Sunday. John?
Thanks, Stone. That's NBC Nightly News for this Sunday. I'm John Siegenthaler in New York. Tom Brokaw will be reporting tomorrow from San Diego, and I'll see you tomorrow night, 10 p.m. Eastern, on cable for MSNBC Investigates. For all of us at NBC News, good night.
Portland has a history of demonstrations, some peaceful, but not always.
Now, twice in 1 week, protesters get confrontational. Tonight, on News Channel 8 at 6:30, has Pioneer Place become a new target for protesters? We'll have reaction from shoppers coming up in a live report.
Also, a hurricane survival story. Local women talk about their escape from Hurricane Kena in Mexico.
Plus, you can carve pumpkins, but why not launch them for a good cause?
And could Joey Harrington and the Lions roar past the Bills? News Channel 8 at 6:30 starts now.
From KGW, where the news comes first. This is Northwest News Channel 8 at 6:30.
Protesters disrupt downtown business twice in 1 week.
They're trying to make their point. They're trying to... The unfortunate thing is that it's affecting everybody.
Good evening, I'm Nancy Francis.
And I'm Carl Click. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. First at 6:30, twice now this week, security guards at a major mall have been forced to lock their doors because of protesters. News Channel 8's Kelly Love joins us live now with the story.
Carl, the mall doesn't want to talk about this story in part because it could hurt business. We're live outside Pioneer Place, where a group of anarchist protesters have tried to stage demonstrations inside this upscale downtown mall twice this week. Tuesday, more than 100 protesters went inside the mall, catching security off guard. Mall security forced them to leave, saying they were being disruptive. They then locked down the mall, waiting for police to arrive. On Saturday, protesters returned. This time, security guards had video cameras to document the crowd, and once again, they locked it down. The mall won't comment on its security plans, as shoppers say they are aware but not overly concerned.
Oh, it doesn't make me think twice at all. I'm here. It doesn't appear to be any different than when we went through Vietnam and when we had it up in the park blocks during late 60s, early 70s. And it's Portland, you know, it's Oregon. We're environmentalists. We're out ahead of everybody in environmental issues and everything else, so it doesn't surprise me. And it's okay, as long as it's not violent.
Like the Vietnam War protests of 30 years ago, demonstrators this week were protesting U.S. plans to attack Iraq. Organizers say the group that went into the mall represents a splinter anarchist group. Organizers say they want to keep those Saturday demonstrations orderly and peaceful. Portland police have had a small presence at these Saturday demonstrations, but they say in light of what's happened this past week here at Pioneer Place Mall, they may have to reevaluate their plans. We'll keep you posted. Back to you, Nancy.
Thank you, Kelly. Now to the sniper case. Tonight, the Seattle Times reports that John Muhammad may have had ties to human smuggling. In April 2001, immigration inspectors detained Muhammad in Miami for allegedly trying to smuggle in 2 undocumented Jamaican women. They think it might explain how he met Lee Malvo. Now to the latest on the investigation. The man being held as a material witness agreed to be moved from Michigan to Maryland to talk with investigators. Nathaniel Osborne was arraigned in a federal courtroom today. Officials say he is not considered a suspect. Meantime, NBC News has learned that prosecutors from 3 Virginia counties will file murder charges against Muhammad and Malvo as early as tomorrow. And investigators want to know how the suspects supported themselves. They will review a number of bank robberies in the Washington, D.C. area to look for a possible connection.
An 18-year-old is behind bars in Oklahoma accused of a deadly shooting spree.
And that tops our look at news beyond the Northwest tonight. Police say Daniel Fears stole a shotgun from his father's house Saturday night and started shooting people after a neighbor yelled at him for driving recklessly. 2 people died, 7 more were wounded. Fears will be arraigned tomorrow on murder charges.
The gas that let special forces overrun a Russian theater filled with Chechen rebels and more than 600 hostages on Friday also killed many of the hostages. Moscow's top doctor says 116 hostages died from gas poisoning, but they still don't know what type of gas it was. Hundreds remain hospitalized tonight.
In the United Kingdom, at least 11 people have died from a series of powerful storms that swept the region this weekend. Winds gusting over 80 miles an hour tore through London, uprooting trees and damaging power lines. The storm has disrupted air, sea, and rail travel.
Another storm was one of the most powerful storms to hit Mexico's Pacific coast in nearly 40 years. Hurricane Kenna made land Friday afternoon, forcing thousands to evacuate parts of the coast, including a group of 8 women from the Portland area. News Channel 8's Krista Vasquez joins us now with their story.
Well, Carl, it was a birthday celebration. 8 women whisked away on a private jet to a beautiful Mexican resort. But their relaxing vacation soon turned into a nightmare. Friday morning, one day after arriving for a long weekend at a Puerto Vallarta spa, they got a visit from Hurricane Kenna. They woke up to find the Category 5 storm pounding the popular beach resort. Massive waves were swallowing everything in sight. Winds up to 160 miles per hour were rattling more than just nerves.
We still didn't know the severity of it until we started to feel the actual hotel was swaying from side to side. I would say it was between 4 to 6 inches of give. I mean, really the hotel, and we just sit there, and when waves come in, of course, they draw back out. We saw whole toilets, a full refrigerator being dragged back out to sea. We saw sofa cushions, which were obviously from hotel lobbies, floating.
The resort staff ordered everyone out. The ladies spent a night in a hotel up on higher ground. Their private jet was able to rescue them yesterday morning. Some of the ladies spent today getting those relaxing spa treatments they weren't able to get in Mexico. Nancy?
Thanks, Krista. In Seattle tonight, a container ship is back on an even keel in Elliott Bay. Yesterday, the ship looked like this. It was listing about 20 degrees into the side of the dock. But now the ship is upright again. Dock hands and the Coast Guard spent the day pumping water out of the ship's ballast. Investigators still don't know what caused the 600-foot vessel to tilt. An inspection showed there was no hole in the hull of the ship, so investigators think it could have been a combination of both human error and the ship's system.
Eugene police are looking for a group of men they believe vandalized a temple. About 80 people were attending a service Friday night when someone threw rocks bearing swastikas at that synagogue. The rocks broke 2 windows, but no one was injured. Earlier today, the temple's rabbi talked about this attack.
Adults have been doing a wonderful job of reassuring the children that even though there are people that have that kind of hatred in their hearts, there are many more that are friends and supportive and loving people.
This was the second attack on this temple. In 1994, 2 men were arrested for a drive-by shooting when the synagogue was empty.
The Oregonian is going to start doing 2 things it's never done before. 1, charge couples for putting wedding and engagement announcements in the paper. And 2, sell space for announcements about gay and lesbian couples as well. The announcements will be included in the paper's new celebrations page. The Oregonian is following the lead of the New York Times and other papers which recently began accepting notices for same-sex unions. One thing that won't change, obituaries will continue to be free of charge in the Oregonian.
Some local thrill seekers turned out for some high-flying fun this weekend. Coming up, going to show you some good old-fashioned pumpkin chunkin'.
Plus, Joey Harrington has moved on to the NFL, but Duck fans are still loyal to number 3.
I'm Bruce Sussman in the First Alert Storm Center. Coming up, I've got your Halloween forecast. It's looking good for trick-or-treaters. And right now, though, some useless trivia for you. Our Northwest trivia question tonight relating to politics. Kevin Mannix and Ted Kulongoski have which of the following in common? A, they're lawyers, B, they've served in the Oregon legislature, or C, they have 3 kids? Or is it both A and B, or maybe all of the above? I'll have the answer coming up with your 5-day forecast.
When Fido chows down, is he getting a well-balanced meal or
beaks, feathers, feet, hair, hide, hooves, carcasses, blah, 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 and it gets worse from there.
even pets ending up in dog food? A Unit 8 investigation Thursday night at 11, only on News Channel 8.
Sometimes I need quiet. Sometimes I need peace. Sometimes I need to get away.
The Lexus ES, a new world of luxury. See Lexus of Portland.
Words are your wheels to take you anywhere you feel.
7 years ago, I learned to read. It was hard, but it was the best decision in my life. If you know someone who can't read, phone 1-800-929-4458.
Your mind is an automobile.
The words are your wheels.
And words are your wheels.
Alrighty. Now, you will need to get additional receivers for these other TVs and that special splitter that we talked about. All right. Oh, and don't forget those extra receiver programming fees and that monthly upcharge for your local channels.
I guess Timmy's braces are just gonna have to wait.
Satellite costs more than you think. No hidden charges, problem solved. Digital cable from AT&T Broadband.
The kid looks fine.
Thanks. Come back again. Here we go. Get the action going. About time you got a new TV. Thank you, gentlemen.
Folding seats, loads of space. If you love it, Chrysler PT Cruisers got a way to hold it.
This is not gonna fit. Oh.
Now, qualified lessees can lease this 2003 PT Cruiser, starting at $229 a month.
Now, back to Nancy Francis and Carl Click on Northwest News Channel 8.
If you are artistic, you might want to carve a pumpkin. If you're not, well, some people launch them. This was the scene at the Super V Pumpkin Shoot competition. It was a benefit for Northwest medical teams. An 8-foot pumpkin slingshot, a giant pumpkin cannon, and a huge pumpkin catapult flung the orange gourds into an open field.
It was quite a kick to it. It's got a pretty good bang, and my aim was off. I was off to the left too far, but it was fun. It's cool.
Each device launched the pumpkins past 300 yards, and for every dollar donated, Northwest Medical Teams is able to buy $75 worth of aid.
Of course, this Thursday, witches, goblins, and superheroes will crowd our neighborhoods in search of treats, but it's not too early to start thinking about Halloween safety. Here are a few tips on how to keep your trick-or-treaters really safe out there. Try to go out as early as possible, and at night, make sure everybody carries a light. You want to walk or slither or sneak on the sidewalks, not on the streets, of course. Never eat unwrapped candy. Make sure costumes fit properly and are made of light-colored or reflective material. That's important. And only visit homes that have a porch light turned on. They're the ones that have the good stuff.
And if you've got a hula costume, you might need a sweater in Oregon. I don't know. Bruce can tell us for sure.
Well, that's right. Most years, you definitely need a sweater with a hula costume. I recommend a costume with a lot of fake fur, like a werewolf costume. Keeps you warm for the Northwest trick-or-treat nights. Right now, we've got a little bit of shower activity off to the east of Portland along I-84 and southwestern Washington, a few sprinkles around Vancouver, also a couple down towards Salem. But most of our area is dry, and it's been kind of sprinkly, drizzly throughout the day today. Let's take you outside right now for a live look from our Northwest Skycam. Way up high on the Wells Fargo Center, looking at some of the downtown buildings. Our current conditions, 48 degrees right now, and humidity at the airport just hitting 100%. We're starting to have a little bit of light fog form at the airport. So just keep that in mind. Some patches of fog will be developing tonight. And by the way, our Almanac, we'll have that for you in a little bit, telling you about sunrise and sunset times before too long. Let's take you to some place where they're keeping a close eye on what's happening with Mount Etna. We're going to take you over to Italy right now, where the volcano has been erupting. And I tell you, it is the largest volcano in Europe, and it's been quiet for quite some time, but spectacular pictures tonight. We'll show you those. Here they are. As you can see, just huge walls of flame and massive plumes of smoke shooting out of the side of Mount Etna. At this point, no threats to any structures, although there have been some ski lifts damaged on Mount Etna, but that's about it. Pretty spectacular sight there in Italy. Well, back here closer to home, rainfall, 1/100 of an inch in Salem, trace amounts in most other places around our area. Lows this morning, wow, it was cold, down to 32 in Salem. East of the Cascades, we had 11 in Burns. So a lot of cold weather in the mornings and in the afternoons. Everybody, just about everybody, making it back into the 50s. Now, we've got an impressive system offshore. You can see it right here, Washington and Oregon here. But in between us and the system, high pressure. And guess what? That's going to move into place. It's going to block the system and keep it from getting to us. Now, at this point, though, we're on the back edge of a separate system that's very weak and is going to move out of our area and put an end to our sprinkles by the time we get to tomorrow afternoon. First Alert Futurecast shows those sprinkles in place tonight. We put it into motion. By tomorrow morning, it shows clearing over parts of Oregon and then widespread clearing as we go through the afternoon hours tomorrow and on into Tuesday. Things are looking clear, except maybe a sprinkle or two over the Cascades. So drier weather on the way. Mostly cloudy with some scattered showers only in the morning along the coast and a few scattered showers in the Willamette Valley to start the day. Then partial clearing and highs in the upper 50s. In the Cascades, mostly cloudy, some scattered showers around, and a few showers for the west end of the gorge. Other than that, gradual clearing as we go through the day. Eastern Oregon, you should be dry, but temperatures will be cool. Highs making it into the 50s tomorrow. In the Portland-Vancouver area, watch for patchy fog and a few sprinkles tonight. Tomorrow, things drying out, especially in the afternoon. 57 for a high temperature in Portland. And our 5-day forecast, Thursday, Halloween, dry but cold with a low of 31. Let's talk about our trivia question tonight, and it's useless political trivia, I guess you could say. Kevin Mannix and Ted Kulingoski have which of the following in common? They're lawyers, served in the Oregon legislature. They've got 3 kids. Both A and B, or all of the above?
It's like an SAT question.
A and B for sure.
A and B for sure.
We lost count of their children.
Yeah, and guess what? They actually have 3 kids apiece. Wow. So all of the above, a little political trivia for you there.
That might be the only thing they have in common as they get ready for election.
Yeah, when you watch their commercials, that's right.
Thanks, Bruce.
Joey Harrington is rising up in the ranks of the NFL and has become a hometown hero. If you don't think so, just ask workers at the UO Duck Shop in downtown Portland. His Lions jersey is flying off the shelves. When we stopped by this afternoon, there were only 2 left. The Duck Shop hopes to get more Joey jerseys in by Christmas, and there are some left at some other stores in town, we hear. So how did Joey do today against New York? Here's Joe Becker.
Well, Joey did pretty well. Actually, they played against the Buffalo Bills. We've got highlights of a game that went down to the wire. Don't go away.
Advertise for less in the nickel ads. Available at grocery stores, street corners, or online. Find or sell just about anything you want. Call 1-800-544-0505. The nickel ads. Find more stuff.
This News Channel 8 segment is brought to you by Subaru, the beauty of all-wheel drive.
Over there.
The new, smoother, quieter, all-wheel drive Subaru Outback.
They're so beautiful.
Imagine a sport utility designed to find harmony with nature.
What are you looking at?
When you get it, you get it.
See your local Subaru dealer for information on financing as low as 1.9% APR.
Kevin Mannix says he wants to cut government regulations by 50%. That means 50% of nursing home rules that protect seniors from crooked operators. 50% of the environmental safeguards that protect our air and water from corporate polluters. 50% of regulations that protect us from corporate fraud. Mannix would even cut 50% of health care standards that protect our children from greedy HMOs. If Kevin Mannix doesn't want to protect us, who does he want to protect?
Well, my first job I went out and got when I was 14 years of age. Got a job as a busboy at Henry T. Lee's restaurant, and it was a great place for me to start out to work because I really learned the values of hard work and good work. I still really believe in the values of work. I believe if you get in, work for good people, and you work well, you're going to see your dreams realized.
From your first job to your next job, learn what career opportunities are available to you at connect2jobs.org.
Someone did a little shopping today, although they don't know it yet. Because identity thieves steal private credit information and then run up huge bills in someone else's name.
I'm fighting to protect victims of identity theft from being assigned a bad credit rating and to require a free credit report so that consumers can spot fraud themselves, because we're all unique in our own way.
Who's standing up for us? Darlene Hooley, that's who.
The power of GMC. Nothing beats the power of zero down payment. Zero payments till January 2003 and 0% financing on every new GMC. Get any new GMC with zero down payment, zero payments till January 2003 and 0% financing. Plus, get an extra $500 bonus cash. See the pros at your local GMC dealers before it all ends October 31st.
Dallas Cowboys running back Emmitt Smith broke Walter Payton's all-time rushing record today, but the Seahawks ruined the moment, winning the game 17-14 on the last-minute field goal. Tough break for the Hawks in the first half. Starting quarterback Trent Dilfer took an awkward step as he was moving in the pocket, tore his right Achilles tendon. He'll have surgery tomorrow in Seattle. Shannon Alexander had 2 touchdowns, gave the Hawks a 14-7 lead in the fourth quarter. Then came the big moment. Smith broke Walter Payton's record with an 11-yard burst with about 9 minutes to go. Payton's mom and dad were there. Payton's marked 16,726 yards. Smith's been a steady performer for 13 seasons. He ran for more than 100 yards the first time all year. 24 carries, 109 yards, tied it with a touchdown. But with 25 seconds left, the Seahawks win it. Ryan Lindell 20-yarder, 17-14 is the final, but Smith gets a spot in the record books as the all-time rushing champ.
I don't know what to say. Today was a very special day. Very special.
Emmitt Smith has just become the NFL's all-time leading rusher.
It's been a 13-year journey. One that has ended, but still traveling today. You know, I'm just still moving on and don't plan on stopping no time soon.
Meanwhile, Joey Harrington, the Lions in Buffalo. Joey 20 of 42, 199 yards passing, 1 interception. He also threw a 23-yard touchdown to Akeem. They got a little lucky bounce here. Akeem was bouncing himself. They had some chances to win the game in the end. Closing minutes, down 7. 4th down and 1, and they were stopped in the Buffalo 22. Bills hang on to win it. 24-17 is the final. Checking the scoreboard. By the way, Seattle and Detroit both have 2 wins apiece this year. Elsewhere, Dante Culpepper, 216 yards passing. Minnesota over Chicago. Cleveland beat the Jets. Tennessee over Cincinnati. Oakland lost again on the road, this time at Kansas City. Jay Feely, 47-yard field goal. The Saints lost to Atlanta 37-35. The Bucs win. Elsewhere, Pittsburgh over Baltimore. Denver beat New England. Arizona fell to San Francisco. Houston over Jacksonville. And we've got Washington leading Indianapolis in the second. Giants and Philly tomorrow night. Ducks have dropped to 16th in the coaches' football poll and 19th in the AP poll. That's actually pretty good considering the Duck defense has given up 119 points in the last 3 weeks. Finally, the weather was awful in Australia for the Honda Indy 300 in Queensland. Awful crash at the start, which sent 2 drivers to the hospital. Adrian Fernandez and Tora Takagi carried off on stretchers. It happened right after the starting line. Fernandez broke 2 vertebrae. Takagi had a broken pelvis and bruised hip. They were released from the hospital. The event stopped after 40 laps because of a 2-hour time limit. Mario Dominguez was the winner. By the way, in the World Series, that baseball thing going on, the Anaheim Angels lead 4-1 in the 4th. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Joe.
We're going to be right back. Stay with us.
Thursday, how dangerous is your chimney?
People just don't even consider cleaning it until it's too late.
What you don't know about potential flare-ups can hurt you. Up in smoke. A Unit 8 consumer alert. Thursday at 5 on News Channel 8, where the news comes first.
The former director of the Oregon Department of Agriculture, Bob Buchanan, speaks out on Measure 27.
As former head of the department responsible for regulating food labeling and safety, I oppose Measure 27. Measure 27 would require complex, misleading labels on Oregon food products that aren't 100% organic. It's an extreme, badly written law that would have no benefits and huge costs. This misguided labeling scheme does not exist in any other state, and it would not provide useful or reliable information to consumers. Enforcing Measure 27's labeling red tape would cost our state government and Oregon taxpayers over $100 million in the next 10 years, making our budget deficit problems even worse. And by pushing food production costs higher, Measure 27 would increase food costs for an average Oregon family by over $500 per year. Please join me in voting no on this costly labeling law.
Turning raw metal into pure gold isn't easy, unless it's Chevy Truck Mart with 0% APR, 0 down payment. 0 payments on every new 02 and 03 Chevy SUV in stock until 2003. Plus, right now, get $500 bonus cash. It's a new gold rush. Stake your claim. 000 plus 500 bonus cash ends October 31st.
When it comes to choosing judges, Oregon has a history of backroom politics. Look at the facts. Oregon governors have never appointed an African American or Asian American to the Oregon Supreme Court. And there's still only one woman on the court, and every judge is from Portland or Salem. That's wrong. That's why we need Measure 22. Measure 22 will create diversity in our appellate courts and give a voice to all Oregonians. Oregon courts should be more than a middle-aged white guy's city club. Vote yes on Measure 22.
Well, he claimed to do the greatest auto dealer commercial of all time. Tomorrow, he'll call himself guilty. Tonight at 11 o'clock, find out what's next for Scott Thomason. Plus, 2 former senators warn of America's vulnerability to a new terrorist attack on a larger scale than September 11th. Those stories and more tonight for you on News Channel 8 at 11. And coming up next, we will re-air last week's News Channel 8 debate between the candidates for governor. In case you missed it, now's your chance to see where Ted Kulongowski and Kevin Mannix stand on the issues that matter most to you. That is right here on News Channel 8, coming up next at 7 o'clock.
And I think everybody's going to be voting in favor of the 5-day forecast, especially because Halloween is this week, and Thursday, which is Halloween, looks sunny and dry, although breezy around here with a cold start in the 30s. As far as your Monday, scattered showers in the morning and then some afternoon clearing, a high of 57 degrees. There you have it.
Looks good to me. Thank you, Bruce. And thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back tonight with more news at 11. Have a great evening.